Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn how to find the area and the perimeter of a circle. Let's get started. When we're talking about circles, there's a couple key components you should know about. The first thing is the diameter, often marked with D. The diameter is the distance from edge to edge of a circle that passes through the center or the origin. Circles also have another thing called a radius, typically written as r. The radius is very similar to the diameter, except it goes from the center of the circle only to one edge. These two measurements are very closely related because if you have 2r, that gives you d. Or another way to write that is two radiuses, or radii, are the diameter. Now you also may hear people refer to the circumference of a circle as the perimeter or vice versa. So whenever you hear someone say find the circumference or what is the circumference, that's the same thing as the perimeter. Lastly, you may be asked to find the area, and that is how much space is actually inside of your circle. So let's look at some examples. All right, for our first problem, they ask us to find the circumference of the circle. Let's say we have a diameter of 5. No units, just 5. Well, we need to know the formula, and the circumference, which we can call as capital C for now, is going to be equal to diameter times pi. If this is your first time hearing about pi, don't worry. Pi is just a number. It's a very special number that you will see frequently with circles, but it's basically the same thing as 3.14. So don't worry about it. We'll just leave pi as pi and just think of it as another number. All right, so let's solve for the circumference. We have C equals the diameter, which we know is 5, multiplied by pi. And that's it. That's the circumference of your circle. Now you may be asked to simplify or expand on pi by rounding. If you wanted to do that, you would replace pi by 3.14. But we're not going to do that today. So let's look at another one. All right, they are again asking us to find the circumference of the circle. We know our formula is C, being circumference, is equal to the diameter times pi. And we have a diameter of 3 feet. So we have circumference is equal to 3 pi. And that's our final answer. Pretty straightforward. Now we have a new example where they're asking us to find the circumference of a circle, but they've only given us the radius. If you remember from the first slide, 2 times your radius is going to give you your diameter, d. So, since we have 5 centimeters, we're going to multiply 5 by 2, giving us a diameter of 10 centimeters. Now, let's find the circumference. We have the circumference C is equal to 10 pi, and then our units, centimeters. Awesome. Let's move on to finding the area. Looking back at our first slide, we're now interested in finding the area. So remember, the area is going to be all the space inside your circle here. The formula to find area is going to be A equals pi, there's that pi again, multiplied by r squared. So whatever your radius is, you will square it and multiply it to pi, and that will give you your area. Let's try a couple examples. Let's say for this example, our radius is 2. Recalling the formula, area equals pi radius squared, we can solve area equals pi and radius is 2, and we have to square it. We know that 2 squared is 4, So our answer is A equals 4 pi. Awesome. Let's move on to the next problem. For this example, let's take our diameter to be 10 inches. Recalling the formula, area equals pi r squared, you'll notice we need radius. And we have a diameter, so we're going to have to convert them. To do that, we remember that 2 radius gives us our diameter. So simply dividing by 2 will allow us to solve for radius equal to be diameter over 2. Or long story short, you just have to divide 10 by 2 to get your radius, which means radius in this case equals 5 inches. Now we can plug it into our formula and solve. Area equals pi times our radius, which is 5 squared. 5 squared gives us 25 pi. Now, you may think that our units are inches, but that's not true. Whenever we find area, our units will be squared. So in this case, we have 25 pi inches squared, or inches to the power of 2. And that's because the formula has radius with units squared. So our final answer is 25 pi inches squared, or square inches. Now that you've seen 2 examples, give this one a shot. Go ahead and pause this video, and then I'll work through the solution. Given a diameter of 8 and trying to find the area, we first need to find our radius. We know our radius is the diameter divided by 2, so we can say that our radius is equal to 4 feet. Now we can plug that into our area formula. We have pi times 4 squared. 4 squared gives us 16 pi, and then we have to square our units, so feet squared, or square feet. That should be your final answer. And for our final example, we are given radius is 3 centimeters. If you want, go ahead and pause this video and give it a shot. Just like the other problems, we will plug it into our area formula. Area equals pi r squared. We know that our radius is 3. That'll be squared times pi. So that simplifies to 9 pi. And for our units, we have centimeters squared. And that should be your final answer. Well, I hope you learned something. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching.